Okay, it's about 9 o'clock at night on Thursday, September 4th, and I have had to refilm this video several times because I am so angry I cannot get through it. I keep stumbling over my words and struggling to get to my point. I think I've got my shit together now. Let's talk about RFK Jr.'s Senate hearing from this morning, and I'll do my best, y'all. I'll do my best to keep my cool. No promises, y'all, but I've got my porter and my scotch glass, and I will try to be calm and collected. I've said for a long, since before the election, for years and years, I've said that RFK Jr. is an incredibly dangerous person. Yeah, he's a bumbling buffoon. Yeah, he's completely incompetent. He is the epitome of a white man with generational wealth who completely overestimates his own capabilities, thinks he is entitled to far more than he actually is, thinks he is smarter than he actually is. What is it they say? Undercompetent and overconfident? That's RFK Jr. But, before the election, I cautioned a bunch of my friends, both in my private life and publicly online, about RFK Jr. and the Maha movement, how it was not only a bunch of pseudoscience, wellness grifter nonsense, but it was going to get people not only seriously injured, disabled, but also killed. Let's not forget that RFK Jr. ran as a Democrat. Because it's late and I can't help myself, let's not forget that back in January, Axios reported that a super PAC funded by the 1630 Fund boosted RFK Jr.'s ads, claiming he isn't afraid to tell the truth about vaccines. That PAC that the 1630 Fund donated to, they gave something like $400,000 on behalf of RFK before he dropped out of the race. And in the interest of fairness, the 1630 Fund also gave to a PAC that ran ads against RFK. Myself and a lot of other people have been shouting from the rooftops for a long time about RFK, trying to reach our crunchy mom friends. Too many friends sucked down the Maha to alt-right pipeline. RFK Jr.'s anti-vaccine rhetoric, which is absolute nonsense, based on a retracted article, complete bullshit, that tried to claim that autism and the MMR vaccine are linked. Let's not forget that The Lancet had to retract that article, and the doctor, Andrew Wakefield, who published that complete nonsense, had his medical license revoked. But RFK Jr. still believes and promotes the kind of pseudoscience disinformation about vaccines that really kind of launched his career after he left Riverkeepers. He's carried that all the way to be the Director of Health and Human Services for 340 million people. He is wholly unqualified for the position that he holds. He has no medical training or expertise whatsoever. He doesn't have an MD. He doesn't have an MPH. No history in public health. He wrote a quack bullshit debunked book, and he's been in the wellness grifter ecosystem for 20 years. Over the last few weeks, RFK Jr. has fired competent physicians from multiple advisory panels and hired wellness grifter quacks to replace them. He's bullied the director of the CDC, basically being like, take up my position on vaccines or I'm going to fire you, pushed her out. 5 prominent members of the CDC quit in protest, saying it's impossible for us to protect the health of the American people under this complete boob. And then yesterday, more than 1,000 employees of Health and Human Services and the CDC signed on to a letter demanding the resignation of RFK Jr. Today, there was a Senate hearing. I'm going to show you a couple of clips here. I'm probably going to save Bernie Sanders' response for a separate video. As I watched this Senate hearing, I got more and more angry because RFK Jr. He is the epitome of a kakistocracy, right? The most unqualified, incompetent person given the most power. Somebody who believes he is far more capable than he is. Someone who is just the epitome of arrogance and hubris. Completely ignorant, completely unqualified, has no business doing what he's doing. Could you imagine if somebody came to you, regular, ordinary, everyday person, no public health experience, no training, no education, you're not a physician, and said, hey, do you want to be in charge of the health of 340 million people? Do you want to direct the future of medical research, of health policy in this country, be responsible for the healthcare, preventive healthcare vaccines of millions of American children? Do you want to be responsible for protecting 340 million people from future pandemics? Help us work to craft cures for new diseases? Help us iron out what it looks like to do cancer research and run the National Institutes of Health? Like, could you imagine if someone came to you and asked you to do all that? You or I would be like, fuck no, we are not capable. We are not qualified. We would not be able to do that job justice. But RFK Jr., a long-term heroin addict whose sister said that he tried to get his siblings to use hard drugs. RFK Jr. and his brainworms, they're qualified to run the health of the American people. The sheer fucking arrogance of that man. I mean, that arrogance was on full display in the Senate hearings today.
Is that what you're trying to tell us? I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire... You're evading the question. No, I'm asking the questions here. You're evading that question. I'm asking the questions, Mr. Kennedy. I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman. Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them. First time in the history of that agency.
Do you understand how dangerous this man is? Level of arrogance and ignorance combined, weaponized to cause the deaths of countless Americans. That's what he is. He's a eugenicist. He wants to put autistic people, like my spouse, like my child, into institutions. He wants to take people who struggle with mental health issues, deprive them of their medication, and put them in forced labor camps he calls work farms. He's denying people vaccines. It's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable to me that this man is in charge of the health of the American people. It's also unbelievable to me, like how many Americans actually like him. Of all of the members of Trump's cabinet, he has the highest approval rating. It's under 50%, but it's still higher than everybody else. It's higher than Trump. And that's largely because I think the Mahad alt-right pipeline has really successfully brainwashed a lot of people. A lot of people have gotten radicalized by that. A lot of people have been hoodwinked by wellness grifters. We now have a situation in which the American people are not protected from future pandemics. Our children are less protected from vaccine-preventable diseases. He's creating circumstances in which polio could come back with a vengeance in the U.S., in which measles outbreaks could become more and more regular, in which tuberculosis could proliferate, whooping cough. We could just go on and on and on. They're taking this country back decades, 100 years. They're taking us back to an era where most Americans died of communicable diseases. Go back 200 years in our history and most Americans died of communicable diseases. Now most Americans die of heart disease. Do you know why? Because we protect everybody from those communicable diseases so they're living far longer. They never got to a place where they could die from heart disease before because they were dying much younger from entirely preventable diseases. There was no cure back then. We've got cures for all these things and prevention for all of these things now. And right at a time when Republicans in Congress have passed the big, nasty, bloated bill, which is shutting hundreds of hospitals and many, many more clinics around the country, depriving tens of millions of Americans of health care. It's a real bad scene in the U.S. for our public health. It's gonna be real bad. I don't like to be gloom and doom. Y'all know that I'm very much an optimist. But RFK Jr. is devastatingly dangerous. He has got to go. Earlier today, Friendly Honey Badger said that we need huge demonstrations, public protests demanding his resignation. We've got to have tremendous public pressure getting this man out of office. And I completely agree. Completely agree. And I think it's worth noting here, and I want to talk about it more in a minute, there are Republicans who are against what RFK Jr. is doing. They know that he lied to them. Senator Bill Cassidy, I'm going to show a clip from him in just a second, is a doctor who promotes vaccines. He voted to confirm RFK Jr. because he's supporting Trump's agenda, and he's now having big buyer's remorse. But there's a lot more to talk about from this Senate hearing this morning. I'll get to it in the next video, but I want to leave you with this clip from Bill Cassidy because we are watching a conservative Republican senator who's pissed off at RFK. There is definitely leverage here that we, the American people, have to push RFK out and to save potentially millions of lives.
I said yesterday, I believe it, that President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed. If he had been President Obama, he would have gotten it. But because of Operation Warp Speed, forcing the federal government to come to a vaccine development within 10 months when others said it couldn't be done, we saved millions of lives globally, trillions of dollars, we reopened economies, an incredible accomplishment. Mr. Secretary, do you agree with me that the president deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. That's phenomenal.
Let me ask you, but you just told Senator Bennett that the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID.
Wait,
That was a statement.
I did not say that.
Okay, then let me ask, because you also
Senator, I just want to make clear, I did not say
well,
that.
we'll check the record. That's a question of fact.